Timeline of Walla Walla film. It started in 1882 with the same guy that made the first zoetrope, The Horse in Motion. It's called The Kiss. Two women filmed kissing in England. In 1931, translated Maiden in Uniform, young girl falling in love with her teacher. This film was later made again in 1958. Romantic relationship was toned down. Inspiration for other lesbian movies like Bloomington and Loving Annabelle. Rocky Horror Picture Show was in 1975, gender bending, questioning counterculture for the status quo. Speaking of all of those things, Victor Victoria with Julie Andrews, man falling in love with her as she is dressed up as a man. Feminine, masculine expression, early 80s. Same thing in 1983 with Barbara Streisand and Yentl. Feminine expression in masculine society was a trend in these earlier films because lesbianism and feminism are and were so intertwined. This was one way to show it thematically in a movie, was to go through the gender pathway instead of having two women together. But this changed in 1985 with Desert Hearts. An independent filmmaker, female director, wanted to create a lesbian romantic movie, including a love scene that is widely regarded as one of the best of all time. Professor moves to the country temporarily to establish residency to get a divorce and falls in love with one of the farmhands. 1996, Bound with Jennifer Tilly and the other person. Again, masculine, feminine attitudes of gender expression and how that is intertwined with money and family life and crime. Watermelon Woman in 1996, a Black lesbian story telling about how those stories are not being told. And this film is not talked about much, even as it tried to address this need to fill stories that are not being told. It still is like forgotten in some areas. Lesbianism without intersectionality is not acceptance. There needs to be an understanding that Black lesbians and women of color, queer women of color, experience their sexuality and their life. They are treated differently than white queer people, white gay people, white lesbians. And that difference is reflected in every aspect of their life and in more broad culture, including media. Notice how many of these on the list are white. 1999 provides a satirical look at gay culture through But I'm a Cheerleader with RuPaul, Natasha Lyonne, Clea Duvall about a conversion camp. Extremely satirical instead of maybe the more dramatized stories of the past. Imagine Me and You in 2005 mimicked a heterosexual romantic comedy with the wedding being the ending and the love triangle being at the center of the movie. Loving Annabelle, which was based off of Maiden in Uniform that came out in the 50s and the 30s, came out in 2006. Girl gets expelled from her school and goes to a boarding school and falls in love with the teacher. I Can't Think Straight came out in 2008 and it provided a unique lens telling culturally Middle Eastern stories and how those elements of culture impact compulsory heterosexuality and obligations around getting married and kind of a fantasy look at what it would be like to abandon that or to think about it. Carol came out in 2015, which was based on a book called The Price of Salt by Patricia Highsmith, which came out in the 50s and was set in the 50s. The movie was made in 2015. It took a long time to get made through the lens of a young woman finding herself and relationships, specifically one relationship dynamic that turns romantic and the complications of that when there are family and societal obligations. Speaking of societal expectations, Disobedience with Rachel Weisz and McAdams came out in 2017. A woman, one who has left her Orthodox Jewish community and the other one who has remained and gotten married. Her father dies. She comes back to the community and meets up with the woman that she used to be close with. And what are they supposed to do about that relationship now? Because they didn't really think, I think, that they weren't going to see each other again. 2018 starts the year of the period piece, Hardcore, with The Favorite. Olivia Colman and Rachel Weisz again. Are you busy marrying James Bond or something? What's going on with that? About a queen and her handmaid. I don't care. Portrait of a Lady on Fire came out in 2019, which was in France. Noblewoman needs her picture painted so that she can give the portrait to someone who is potentially going to marry her. And the relationship develops through that lens of painter and person being painted. Ammonite came out in 2020 and was remarkably similar looking to Portrait of a Lady on Fire. And Portrait of a Lady on Fire touches on so many more nuanced elements of feminine identity and woman community, even expanded outside of the couple. Ammonite is very like hyper focused on the couple. It has Kate Winslet and Saoirse Ronan in it. Saoirse Ronan gets left by her husband who goes traveling and stays with Kate Winslet, who is an archaeologist, and trying to cure Saoirse Ronan's depression. So they spend a lot of time together, and it's a very like intimate look at a again period piece, so it's old. 2022 with Tar. Kate Blanchett, who has played a lesbian or a queer-coded character many times, described this movie as a rehearsal movie, not a performance movie. It's about being a female composer who happens to be gay and have a wife, and the nuance of balancing that profession, power dynamic, status, control, and she really is able to step into that role of control freak professional in a very moving way.